Hi everyone, welcome back to Caitlin's Corner. Today we're going to be doing some planting in the garden. I'm going to be doing a little overhaul of this area right off of the living room, French doors, an area that we call the blue urn fountain area because there's two blue urn fountains. You can see this area right out of those doors, and so we want to change it up and make it to where it is green and beautiful year round. And we live in an area where we can use a lot of different plants to do that. So that is the intention. So we had a clear vision in the beginning for this area, but it has evolved just like gardens do. And so what we're going to be doing is really kind of shaping this bed up a little bit better, being more pointed with our plant choices of things that we really like. Things like more surefire begonias, things like more ferns, things like more hellebores, adding some more mondo grass in, and really doing intentional layering. So one of the things that I really like in a tropical space is intentionally layered planting. So starting off with a lower growing tropically plant and then moving up to the next and to the next. So it's kind of like rows. And then after a couple rows, then you can get a little bit more whimsy and creative with singular plants here and there. And that just creates, instead of a really like chaotic tropical look, you have a much more manicured, tidy tropical look. So that's what we're going to be going for in this area by using mondo grass, surefire begonias, ferns, hellebores, and then a few specimen plants like a wisteria, like our azalea, like the camellia, and probably a few other things as well. But let's get started on kind of doing some moving of things around and planting up all the plants that we're going to plant today.
So part one for this project is raking out some mulch into the flower bed. We're actually adjusting the size of this bed. You can see where the bed line ended. It's approximately where the drip line is at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Now we're pulling this all out and adjusting. Everything that is underneath the gold medallion tree was all grass, and it just doesn't grow particularly well in the shade. So we're adding mulch to this area and bringing that flower bed all the way out just past the gold medallion tree and putting mulch over the grass pathway that's leading out of the gate. We'll instead be putting stepping stones and some ground cover in between them, and that pathway will ring around the flower bed up to the pavilion. So now the whole area that you see that's mulch will now be considered planter bed, which will be able to extend our plants much further out into this area. We will keep everything basically from where you see the lemon coral sedum at the base of the gold medallion tree and over relatively low. In fact, I do plan on making a huge drift of lemon coral sedum right underneath the gold medallion, and that I'm thinking a double paisley shape of lemon coral sedum in that area, and that way we can keep it really low water, which the tree will enjoy. In this area, I dug out a huge euonymus root. It was a giant shrub. It looked beautiful for a long time, but I knew that I wanted to put a wisteria in a pot in this area. So that is exactly what we're doing today. I'm placing this stone down in order to make sure that the roots don't sink through the hole of the pot and get into the ground, because wisteria roots are really gnarly. and we want to kind of keep them contained in the pot. We are trying to keep as much as we possibly can in this yard on drip irrigation. So I'm putting 1/4-inch black poly tubing through the hole in the bottom of this giant black pot. That way we can set this wisteria up on drip and can just let it do its thing. So ultimately, this pot ended up taking about 3.5 bags of potting mix at about 2 cubic feet per bag. So that kind of tells you the size of this container. It's absolutely massive. And because of that, it does sink quite a bit. So ultimately, I filled it pretty much to the brim with soil in order to make sure that when it does sink, it doesn't sink too low. So now it's time to dig up a few plants. And yes, I am digging up and moving hellebores. I know that they don't like to move, but I'm digging a plenty big enough root ball to where they will be just fine. So in this area, I will be planting up 5 silver lady ferns, and these get about 3 feet tall by 3 feet wide. So they will make a beautiful statement in this area. They'll be our medium layer, bridging the gap between our lower flowering plants and our taller evergreen shrubs like the azalea and the camellia. For continuity, I am bringing some of the same interest off to the left here with the silver lady ferns and a variety of different hellebores, ranging from doubles that are dark in color to singles that are dark in color to doubles that are a chartreusey green and even doubles with a white. So here I am digging out a few more hellebores to make room for the ultimate goal of adding in more surefire white begonias in its place. They're not moving very far, but I do have a vision of how I want the layering here to look, so they will go back just a tad and fit right in with the ferns in a similar view to what we just accomplished over on the left. Every plant that we've planted today has been fertilized with plant tone to ensure that it has some nutrients for root development, growth, and in the cases of the hellebores, flower development. So now I am planting up our front layer with mondo grass. Now I actually had some mondo grass in this area and we're just expanding upon that. And the reason that we're getting to do that is because I found mondo grass flats that are normally $25 a piece at the big box store for 50% off in the clearance section. As you can see, they look really good. I'm not quite sure why they were there, but we scored and I'm pretty happy about it. So at this point, I decided I wasn't quite done and that I wanted to add in a little bit of that bluey green color that is in the urns. I think ultimately I might end up putting Dichondra Silver Falls as a ground cover here, but I had these lamb's ear. They're the perfect color, and though they might get a tad big, at least they're out of their 6-packs, which would be way too hard to keep watered. And they'll be much, much happier in ground getting consistent water. And they'll put on some really nice growth. And who knows, I might end up keeping them here. They do look really nice. All right, so in this space, I got the mondo grass planted up. It's in a nice little ring here around this area. I decided to go in with the lamb's ear that I had bought at H&H a few days ago. And this stuff gets relatively large, but I don't anticipate it being huge this year. I really kind of just anticipate it to put on some more bulky growth. That way it's more substantial when transplanting it actually out to the front yard, I think is where I want it to go. I might intersperse some in around here in this bed, kind of more towards the back, but I think it's a really pretty color here with the 2 urns. And it gets it out of its nursery containers and in the ground to get more consistent watering, which will be nice for it. I do plan on getting more surefire white begonias. I think I said that. The plan is to have it kind of meet up to right here of this corner of the fountain base, shoot towards the back, come across here, and then it'll meet up over with the Surefire begonias that are right here. So there's a little opening here that needs some Surefire begonias, and then it'll also connect back through that way. All of the mondo grass should really fill in and should fill in this space behind it pretty well. If it doesn't, I think what I'm going to do is come in with some Dichondra Silver Falls that's also in this kind of greeny blue color, and it'll be a really nice ground cover here. I don't want anything particularly tall to block the fountains or to get into that fountain base, because that makes it kind of a pain in the butt to keep it clean. But so these will be temporarily here. We did get planted this really pretty magenta freesia here that mimics the color of the Happy Days azalea that's back there. We got the ring of Silver Lady ferns in. And then I also planted right here, this is a Pacific Giants mix delphinium. So it'll have kind of a bluishy color to it. That will be really pretty, and kind of, you know, tall spiky blooms that will come up through the plumeria here. And the plumeria will hopefully be getting its leaves very, very, very soon. So then as we swing around this direction here, like I mentioned, the plan is to have Surefire white begonias that come straight this way and then meet up with these ones. We have a number of different hellebores in here that are really pretty, and our Jerry Donnan camellia. So between the camellia and azalea, those two are going to really fill in this whole space right here. They'll get both probably about 6 feet tall, 6 feet wide or so. So they'll intermingle perfectly. Then in our pot here, we've got the black dragon wisteria, which I'll be planting up later when I find some things that I want to go in there. But you can see that I've tried to keep the vision going in this direction by continuing on with more of the Silver Lady ferns and some more hellebores. And these ones are really, really pretty. Green with like a purpley edge, double, a dark, dark red. I think this one's Ice and Roses red. This one is just a beauty, white with that magenta-y color and some chartreuse in the middle. And then a dark, dark purple here with lots of just ruffly petals. So our planting project for the day has come to an end. It's not perfect yet, but we're closer to the vision that we have for this space. I think it's going to be really beautiful once it's all grown in and everything is just rocking and rolling, and that we have all of the plants that we want. Like, I can't wait to get more Surefire begonias to really just finish out this space. But it's coming together, and little bit by little bit coming together kind of just takes a lift off of your brain and gets you where you're like, okay, it's going. I can see the vision now. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I can see the light at the end of the tunnel with this particular part of the garden. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye.